Thank you all that you are here, and I promise it won't take long, so we can go Fridaying in a few seconds. So my name is Kuba, and I work as interaction designer at Edisonda here in Krakow. And today I would like to present a short case study of how we develop and design the product in the context of Internet of Things. So first, simple question. I'm working at Edisonda, as I said, and the product is a side project taken from Edisonda, and is a collaboration of Edisonda and German software house Speicher 210. First question, what the IoT is. Do you know what the Internet of Things is? Everyone knows what the Internet of Things is, but to take to the common ground, let me show you the short equation. So when we take a thing, whatever, any object, and add to it a computational module, then we receive a smart object. And it could be anything. And when we take this smart object and connect this into the internet, then we receive the internet, the thing for the internet. So we've got the whole Internet of Things. And when we've got this equation back in our minds, we can think that we can connect everyone with everyone, which is the basic assumption of the internet, but also everything with everything, and everyone with everything. And in the context of this equation, we are also a things with our computational modules that connects us to the internet. So this results in the let's call it new society, because now we are not communicating only with each other, but also with things. And great example was performed by Italian designer just before the Internet of Things became this famous buzzing trend. Simone Baduengo performed a very cool project where he took the toaster and connects it to the internet. And when we ask the toaster, what is your meaning of life? Because now we can do it. Toaster probably will answer, I want to make toasts. If he answered a different way, then he isn't a toaster, of course. So he connects it to the internet, show him his polls, other toasters around him, and then the whole play begins. Because now suddenly Brad begins to feel useless because he doesn't make toast. So he tweets about it. He tweets about it to the local shop. Hey, maybe order another toast because my owner will buy them because I need to make some toast, and so on and so on. If you don't take care on your toaster, then the special service will come and take it away. And it shows how the things became a part of our community. New actors, new agents that we need to interact with. And this also shows that internet becomes physical. It means that we do not need anymore any additional devices to be online. This is something for us, this is something what we are aware of, because we are living in this age where we are experiencing this passage between offline and online. But for the further generations, this will be something obvious. And we need to have this in the back of our minds. So as Arthur C. Clarke says, when the whole reality becomes connected to the internet, it seems to be like a little bit automagical, and we are now surrounded by the automagical things. When we are thinking about the first car, it was a vehicle without the horses. When people look at the vehicles connected to the horses, horse pulled the vehicle forward, then it was totally logical. They can explain it to themselves. But when suddenly someone took away the horse, the vehicle the vehicle became powered by engine, it seems to be a little bit automagical because the people didn't understand how does it work. And now, today, we are living in another age when we are trying to remove the drivers from the cars. And still, this is something totally automagical, and people have got a great problem with explaining this to themselves. The clue from the interaction designer perspective is to shape the mental model. Mental model is a basic, every user has got a mental model. It's a set of basic assumptions, basic beliefs about the world, very often not grounded in some scientific fact, but something what I teach along my passage through the life. Sorry. And in this context, we began working on Wingu. Wingu is a platform that its main goal was to deliver the right content in the right context. We began working in this lean loop. It's probably the last time when you see it on this conference, so take a look and you know it very well. So we wanted to develop a platform. Platform is a quite often and well-known business model. Today, for example, Uber or Airbnb are built upon the platform when we want to connect two groups of users. Our users, from the one hand, was the content creators who want to get to their users in the right moment and right time. Right moment and right place. And also, we wanted to give the users, that was our second group, give the users right information, the right moment, and right context. So we developed these nice boxes with beacons inside it. Then we built a CMS for the end users, the content providers. Our assumptions here was to get rid of any words such as API or SDK. We wanted to get into the non-technical users that would want to just write a content and somehow get into their users. The simplest mental model as we created for that was you have a beacons, you put it in your area, your environment, and when the user is in the range of the beacon, then you get the information associated with this beacon. It's quite simple. We know that beacons work in much more sophisticated way, and there is a lot of infrastructure issues. Yes? We also develop applications. I didn't say that, sorry. Here is our application, and I will come back to that. So as I said once again, there was a CMS, and CMS, also we've got this application, and this content that is provided in the CMS was displayed in this application. So user received it, one end user has got an application to get this content. And also, we want to explain the whole mechanics to the end users. So we develop a short intro. You need to find some beacons. If you are in the beacon range, then you receive your special content. So we've got all our toys and went to the research, the next part of this adventure. We went to the Mozart Museum in Krakow, Museum of Contemporary Art in Krakow. Sorry. What is important, we went there with a researcher and developer. Also, developer is very important here because we wanted to show them how people interact with his software, with his code. Then also we've used eye tracking, mostly in the interview with users, and some guerrilla questions on people that are passing by through this free museum on this day. Then we went to the analyze, and what were the conclusions? First, people and users don't get the idea of beacons. even we show them what is this little antenna there, what is this little thing that broadcasts the signal, they totally don't get how it is possible to put the content inside this little box. So what it shows us, what this has shown us, is that maybe we should think about the content connected with not a device, but with a whole place. So first thing was we redesigned the whole onboarding process, the tutorial, and explain users that you need to go into the city to find the proper places where the content is distributed. The second thing was the triggers. So if we drop the device-centered approach and we don't stop thinking about the beacons only, we tried to experiment with other devices, not only beacons but also with other technologies, not only beacons but also with geofences, GPSs, QR code, and still there are some of them, some physical buttons that we can push to trigger content. And the last thing was that we cannot get into this non-technical users. We need to narrow our context, narrow our target, and explain to the customers that we want to apply our mechanisms into their context, into their applications. So we build a SDK and API in this case. We check this and we get the feedback that this is the better approach for introducing this technology to the users than to build a whole broad platform for every context. We tried this approach with Lego on in Germany on Toy Fair, where people were using the tablets and our app, and now we are investigating the new context on the waterfall power plants, also in Germany, where we want to help employees to deal with a complicated system of maintaining the documentation. So what is the clue? Is that we should design for the context, or maybe more context itself. We used to get to, as designers very often, we used to focus on the user, its closest environment, its context, how he behaves on every day, on nowadays and typical life, and they tried to fit with our product into this whole ecosystem. When we drop the approach, when we are focused on the device, we should think about the whole context as our material, as our matter to design our solution. So the main problems with IoT is inflexibility of the user's mental model. People, as I said previously, are really used to get into their beliefs, into their concepts, and this is something what we need to change. If we stick to this existing mental models, we were building only stuff that is well known, but doesn't resolve any problems. Here we can argue if there is a sense of adding additional mechanism into brushing your teeth. It's typical teeth brusher just with additional sensors. I can think about using it in a different context, okay, but there is something like I found it a few days ago on the internet, a smart diaper when I've got this sensor and I don't need to anymore get into relation with my child to check if everything is okay because I've got an app that told me that my child made a poop. So the clue here is there's even a trend in the whole IoT movement that it's called Internet of Shit, and I believe that this example is a great example to prove that. So first we should to challenge our users when we are thinking about the Internet of Things. I mean, it's the best way to make it is to perform a quasi-ethnographic research. Why I put the quasi into brackets? Because we are checking, we are investigating user behavior in its natural environment, but it is slightly modified. Another example taken from Edisonda is when we were performing research on Smart Cook. Smart Cook is an additional tool for our kitchens, and it changes a lot our approach, our way of thinking about the modern kitchen and how we are preparing meals. So we took this tool into the whole kitchen and prepared the research in the well-known environment, but slightly modified. The same thing we did with Mozart, where the environment was well-known and the behaviors were planned, but suddenly something changed, and then we can observe how users interact with the changes. So, to sum up a little bit, first thing we should do is to discover current mental models that our users aligned to. This is our point from we can start, and we can think about our further steps. Then, of course, we need to make our research and build our assumptions, build even our concepts of data taken from the research. And the last thing, I said it already, but this is really important, we shouldn't focus on the device, we should focus on the context that this device may influence, may change, and also we should think about the whole picture, as I said, because the Internet became physical, so also our interacting with the world became interacting with Internet itself. Thank you.